Welcome to Fly on the Wall, a podcast where you have the opportunity to listen in on a live coaching conversation. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And now for today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to Fly on the Wall. Today we're talking with Pastor Toby Ray, a good friend of mine from Vista Assembly in California. And we're talking about how to create alignment with your team. Let's check out the conversation.
Let's dive into it, man. How can I serve the amazing Toby Ray today? What's going on?
Good to be with you.
Yeah. What's happening, man? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind?
Yeah.
This is on my mind. We have a meeting in about 20 to 30 minutes on chapter 4.
Oh, I love it.
So we're doing weekly meetings and that. So there's a lot going on with that, and
Good.
causing us to really dig deep and having heart to heart with ourselves.
Yeah.
And the others on staff. So it's good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what questions you got for today?
Live on this, what questions do I have? Really, I would say the hardest questions are the confrontational questions that you have to have with staff. Like I look at everyone as a 10. I always have. It's my leadership style to say, you're a 10. I'm going to treat you and love you like a 10. But the book is causing me to stop and think, am I missing leader drift? Am I missing people sliding away or getting discontented, or even being, as you put in the book, are people getting not rebellious but disrespectful, but not blatantly disrespectful, And so my heart in analyzing that and trying to ask the right questions, or leading up to the right questions, is there an issue? Is there this or that? Because I've never, it's not that I don't want to go there. I will go there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go there if there are no issues and cause issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that, I think that's my struggle. And how do you handle that? How do you put illustrations in the book, how you went to those people, you just went directly to them and asked simple questions. Like, that was great, and I can do that. But do you have any other examples or advice on how to handle those kind of things?
I mean, dealing with confrontation is never easy. But I've said it so many times, when confrontation, you pay now or you pay later, but if you pay later, you always pay more. It always gets more expensive as time goes on, because the leader drift continues to happen. The attitude gets a little bit thicker, the behavior gets a little bit worse, the toxicity by them sharing negative things with other people picks up. It only gets worse. It doesn't normally get better. And so you got to be able to deal with that. I remember a while ago on a podcast, someone asked me a similar question. And I think that one of the things is, I think if you approach it right, it doesn't have to create more problems if you're off a little bit. Mm-hmm. But if you're feeling like, hey, there is leader drift happening, it's not really going well with this person, or maybe you feel like, maybe not going well isn't the right statement, but you feel like they're drifting a little bit. You feel like they're getting a little misaligned. You feel like they're not really carrying the heart of the house. You feel like all of that sort of is happening. There's a way of dealing with that that I think doesn't have to create the tension. So for instance, if you were on my staff and I felt like there was some drifting going on, I would try to find the thing that I think is the problem. Maybe it's, man, you've been more isolated than normal. You seem to be have more tension than normal. You seem to be a little bit more just naturally frustrated or something like that. Let's say that's the thing. I don't think it has to be confrontational. So for example, I'd say, hey, Toby, and I've just been noticing, it feels like to me that you've been a little bit more frustrated. It feels like there's quite a bit more tension inside of you. I don't know what that is or what's happening, but I was just wondering if you could speak into that. And that moment of can you speak into that is gold, because once they say, can you speak into that? Or once you say that, if, and about probably 80% of the time they will, they'll go on for about 15, 20 minutes giving you the reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll normally say something in the middle of that that is, hey, they might respond with, oh, well, I don't know, they're all over the place. And then they say a phrase like, yeah, and I think because of that, I've been having a really bad attitude. And then they just go on again. Now you come back and go, hey, at the end of that their 15-minute sharing with you, you go back and go, hey, that phrase, I've been having a bad attitude. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And you let them talk again. What that does is you're just simply helping, you're bringing up a possible problem.
Mm-hmm.
They bring up and they say a phrase, that whatever phrase that is, you're building on that phrase. And now all you're doing is solving a problem that they said that they had, you didn't say it.
Right.
It is so much easier in confrontation when the other person is the one that points out the problem, and now you're just helping to solve it.
Right.
It is much more confrontational if you're telling them that they have the problem.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's common courtesy or practice just to let them bring it up and talk about it.
Yeah. And again, I'm talking about your first conversation with them, and I think if it continues and persists, it heats up a little bit over time, but the conversations heat up and get more direct. But that initial one, then the other side of it is if they walk away going, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm fine. I don't have any frustration. Okay. Even if they say that and you walk away going, they didn't own up to anything. Okay. But they know that you're willing to call it out if you even sense it.
Yeah.
They know now.
That's good. Yeah.
And so I think either way, most of the time, either way, you're going to come out winning. But that golden phrase is, can you speak into that?
Can you speak into that? Yeah.
Now, once you say that and then they release, you're just looking for that one thing. And now you're solving a problem they said they had.
Right.
Telling them they have a problem. You're just solving. You said you had a bad attitude. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Where's that coming from? What is that all about? What's contributed to this bad attitude? And then they just go on, and now you're solving this problem, but you're not the one that pointed it out. It's so much easier that way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I'm hoping for. Just bring it up, let it go, and from the natural thing, it's like I just want them to know we're all good, whatever. Because but if there is issues, of course, I want to hear about them and deal with them.
Right.
Want to work on them right away before it does get out of hand. But it's because my natural tendency is if you don't say anything to me, you're okay. Because I'm treating you like a 10. I'm treating you as if you're in perfect. I'm giving you all responsibility. I'm coaching you in that. I'm helping you with your position. And if you don't say anything to me, I assume things are good. That's where I'm struggling with, because that's been my MO. But now I'm reading this, and it's when there's an obvious problem, well, that's obvious, but drifting isn't obvious, and catching it early is the key. And so it's a game changer for me, because it's causing me to actually have to look and go, well, is there a problem that they're not speaking of?
Yep.
Which we know in the past has happened.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been any in a while. So,
good.
So that's good. It's like, no, we dealt with all that. It's a great thing to learn and grow in. And then how do you address this? Just speak into this for me, Chris.
Yeah.
So in the past, some of the issues I had were staff members, because previous pastor was not approachable. I came in and said, hey, my door's open. You guys come talk to me, this and that. I would love to have lunch with you. I'd love to get to know you when I first got here. And then I actually had a staff member get really upset and never tell me. And then say, well, the reason I was really upset is because you never invited me to lunch like you said you wanted to. It's like, well, okay, the staff is not 5 or 6 people, it's a lot of people. And so if I didn't invite you, I'm sorry. You could have come and talked to me and I would have just taken you, like, hey, let me know when you're available. And just because I'm an easygoing, come talk to me, we'll do it. How do I know, how do I get to the point where those staff members are actually reaching out to me and saying, hey, Toby, let's go to lunch. Let's do this. Because I've been here 4 years now, and I still invite people to lunch. I still try to take them out here and there. I still invite them to dinner, with my wife and I. But I'm trying to think about this as I was reading your book and as I was doing this stuff. I was trying to think, we have not been invited to dinner by staff members. I can't think of the last time, so is that something to be concerned about? Is that something are they always looking to the leader to invite them? Or what has been your experience in that? And how would you handle that?
Well, as a founding pastor of South Hills, I've had a lot of staff members over the last 25 years. And I probably count on one hand how many invited me out to dinner. I don't think it was, let me say, I don't think it was a relational issue or an attractional issue in the sense of, I think that we had great relationship. I think there's always a figure that I would be the persistent one in that, or that I'm busy. And I'm not saying that they never did. I'm just saying that it didn't happen all the time.
Right.
And I didn't take it offensively. You're just they think you're busy, or they think that you've got other things going on.
Right.
I would, however, make sure that I don't just excuse that to say, oh, well, then they probably just think that I'm busy and it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would ask more difficult questions, and I think that's always worthy of, am I attractional as a leader? Do people want to be around me and my wife? Do they feel comfortable around me and my wife? Do they enjoy our company? Do they feel they're a little judged? Do they feel intimidated? Like, what is the reasoning? It could be just, sometimes it might be intimidated and okay, all right, whatever. But then sometimes it's like, no, I don't know if we're if we've really added a lot of value to them, or they really feel connected to us. So right. I do think there is that worth asking that kind of question to yourself. But I do think you have to be the persistent one, and you have to know, Toby, who you're going to spend time with, who's on your top list, who's the ones that get the Toby Shannon time, who's the one that gets that one-on-one, we're going out to dinner, they're going to come over, we're going to hang out and barbecue, whatever time, who's going to get that time. There's got to be a certain amount of staff that get it, a certain amount of board, and I always say a certain amount of key influencers and key impactors, the people that are key in the church. They're the ones that you're rotating through. Now, whether they come to you or not, whatever, but you have to be rotating that so that you're creating continual alignment with all of these people. And because it's easy, isn't it easy for us to say, yeah, man, we got to get together. It's been a couple months since you and I got together. And then you stop and think about, no, it hasn't been 2 months. It's been 9.
Yeah.
We always say a couple months ago, but then you really think about it. It's like, no, that's a long time ago. So knowing who you're going to spend time with, I think, and knowing who do you need to give more attention to? You got to know who that is. On each of your teams.
No, I think about those things, and because I'm just analyzing the whole leader drift thing, it's been something I've been sitting and contemplating and trying to analyze. Is there a possibility here, a possibility there? And then I ask questions. Well, I have been the one that's done all the reaching out and been scheduling my time with the different key staff members and that kind of stuff.
What do you think? Well, let me ask you a question real quick. Let me flip the question over to you. What do you think someone needs to do in kind of a preventative maintenance? Now, when you see a toxic thing, or even not when it's toxic and blatant, when it's toxic and blatant, it's easy. When it's toxic and it's not quite blatant, that's when you have to have the conversation, because you're going to try to catch it early. Early signs of drifting. Now, put that aside for a moment. Let's talk about preventative maintenance. How do we assure leader drift doesn't happen, in your opinion? And how do we make sure, and what are you doing to make sure? I guess the question is like, how do I make sure my team is aligned? How am I doing all the things necessary? Now, you're always going to have one that goes crazy on you, but what are the healthy, right things you got to do to make sure everybody's moving down the same river together? What are your thoughts?
Well, along lines of what we've been talking about, I try to have one-on-one meetings with each staff member.
Yep.
On a regular basis.
Right. Good.
And in those one-on-one meetings, it's not just business, it's personal, it's family life, it's vacation time, all those things, it's the things that they're doing. And then in those meetings, try to evaluate them by asking them questions, how they're feeling on their position on staff. Are there changes that need to be made? Are they needing something that they're not getting? Are they feeling lonely? Are they feeling supported? Those kind of things. So I'm trying to one-on-one do that. And then when we do have our staff meetings, trying to connect the others together as well. So that's my number one way of doing it, is trying to have those one-on-ones, especially with the key people, at least once every 3 weeks, if not more. So that I'm meeting with him. My associate and I have both been so busy for the summer. I don't think we met all summer. So last week I took him to lunch, and we didn't even talk business. We just went, had lunch and chatted for an hour, which was great, needed, both super busy, stuff doing this, whatever. And so it was needed just to go get away and sit down and do that. But to me, having the one-on-ones with the individuals, but as the staff gets bigger, it's hard to do that with every single one and still have time to breathe.
Yeah. I would encourage you to think about, one thing I've always said is that alignment doesn't guarantee success, but misalignment will guarantee failure. So how do we fight for alignment? I think those things that you're talking about, hey, we've got the one-on-ones. How am I making sure that I'm leading the staff and they understand our mission and our values and they're all moving that way? How am I leading as a leader? Being the leader worth following? How am I being that kind of leader? Those are all the kind of questions and thought processes that I think need to happen in order to create alignment. And I think also, I'll add this one, it throws a whole different mix into it, but it's when you hire someone, when you bring on a leader, to make sure that they match those values and they match that river flow. Because if they don't, then you're bringing someone on that doesn't even carry the same value, same idea. So yes to the one-on-ones, yes to continually casting mission, vision, and values to your team, and yes to making sure that whoever comes on the team is in that same boat and kind of has that same kind of heart. Because and being the leader that is worth following. I want to follow that guy. I'd climb the hill with that guy.
Right.
Because I believe in his vision. I believe in him. I think there's two things that have to happen in that vision. It's got to be, you got to have a vision big enough worth following, and you got to be a leader that has the attractional part of your life that is worth following. Because if you're not worth following, people always remember people buy into the person before they buy into the product.
Sure.
Got to be the person that people attract to. So important part of that. But I do love that you said you put 10 on people's, Maxwell always says put a 10 on people's forehead. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. But you got to keep it in balance. But I think putting a 10 and believing in them is one thing, but then it's got to be laced with reality.
Yeah.
Believe in them, but here's some realities that I'm probably ignoring or kind of pushing to the side.
That's where I'm learning and growing in, because it's not that I am against confrontation.
Right.
I'm okay with confrontation. It's just I would hope it's no one's favorite thing to do. But and so when you put a 10 on people and you believe in them and you let them know you believe in them, you're encouraging them, you're uplifting them, they're feeling good about it, they feel good about the leader, doing that. But at the same time, if they are drifting, I'm missing something and not going to say anything to me. And I'm just being blinded by it, by not seeing any of that. That's where reading the last couple of weeks has caused me to really sit back and go, okay, where are we at? So it's a different way of thinking for me. It's a different mentality. So it's been good. It's been good. We've enjoyed it.
You're doing a good job, man. I've been loving coaching you, and you're doing a great job. And man, I think we're just getting started. I think there's a lot of great things ahead. There's been some challenges along the way, but applause to you because you've dealt with the challenges, and now it's like, all right, we dealt with that. Now let's move on. And that's part of leading. You know, you deal with the challenges, you move on, you keep climbing the hill, then something goes wrong, you deal with the challenge, you keep climbing again. And that's leadership, man. That's why everybody doesn't sign up for it.
Yeah. It's just naturally in me to do what I do and love what I do. And I love every day and I wake up doing it. But it's like keeping good tread on the shoes, keep climbing the hills is,
That's right.
That's the tough part.
You're awesome, man. Hey, I got to jump on another Zoom, but man, it's always good connecting with you, man. I sure do appreciate you, buddy.
Bless you, buddy. Love you too, man.
Love you, brother. Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks for stopping by today. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to be on the lookout for more podcasts from Fly on the Wall. See you next time.